저기 되는 다자 갈라 좀 참아라더니 상계어 바비가 로지잖아. 동당그 되면 영보 준비 체들어야지. 그 처음에 되는 데는 체들은 초반부 다시 되래.
Dashidele to all my friends here and on the live stream, as I'm offering to you from this begging bowl of the Buddha Amitabha, the nectar of immortality that in essence is the ultimate truth. So that is what I'm offering to you, and Dashidele. So I'm now saying this nectar of immortality. Maybe some people don't really understand what that means. You might feel that that's just some fancy, lofty Dharma words. But actually, if you really think about it, it is the ultimate truth. And ultimately, actually, your mind is never born and it never dies. And Milarepa also had said that when you realize the nature of the mind, you realize that it transcends birth and death. And that is the ultimate truth. And that is the point where you accomplish the state of a deathless awareness holder or Vidyadhara. But still, don't forget about karma. Pay attention to karma.
Garchen Rinpoche, Amitabha, Koto Zongya Tongta Chana, Danzi Meva Chana, the same Changa Nadok, the local injury, local sugar mean Yore, within Dzambhala in the day, Jalu drops on Mambo Yore, that of the Chom drops on head.
And so if one practices the Vajrayana Dharma, one can actually attain this state of immortality within one's human life, within the human body. Who, for example, has attained such a state? There are actually many masters who have attained the rainbow body. But for example, there was Guru Rinpoche and his consort Mandarava. Their bodies have transformed into the rainbow body. And that is because they have completely eliminated self-grasping. And having eliminated self-grasping, their mind assumed the form of a rainbow, the Sambhogakaya. And then that Sambhogakaya matured into the Dharmakaya. But then there are many more in this world who have attained the rainbow body in this way. And when you attain the rainbow body, all of these masters have attained the state of immortal or deathless Vidyadhara.
Page number 1, yellow book.
All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. I take refuge in the Buddhas until attaining the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until attaining the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and the assembly of the bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the bodhisattva's path. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Amitabha text, page number 1.
In the space in front appears the Guru in the form of Amitabha, surrounded by an inconceivable retinue of bodhisattvas. Namo, to the 3 jewels and the 3 roots, the places of protection, I go for refuge in order to establish all beings in Buddhahood. I give rise to the mind set on supreme awakening. Page 2. With sincere faith, I pay homage to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas abiding in the 10 directions and 3 times. I offer flowers, incense, lamps, fragrances, food, music, and the like, actually arranged and mentally created. Supreme gathering, please accept them. I confess all evil deeds, the 10 non-virtues, the 5 acts without interval that I have committed, overpowered by mental affliction since beginning this time until now. I rejoice in the merit, all the virtues accumulated by the 3 times, by the Shravakas, Prachika Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, ordinary beings, and the like. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles, and the teachings common to both, according to the aspirations and diverse mental capacities of sentient beings. Until samsara is emptied, do not pass into nirvana, but compassionately look upon sentient beings drowning in the ocean of suffering. May all the merit I have accumulated become the cause of awakening, and may I soon become a glorious guide of beings. The field of accumulation dissolves into me. Thus the mind of the 4 immeasurables has arisen within the mind streams of myself and all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness. May they be free from all suffering, and may they never be separate from happiness. May they abide in the great equanimity. Page 5. All appearance and existence, all phenomena of samsara and nirvana are empty by nature. Not realizing this, how afflicted are deluded beings in samsara. My own awareness appears as a white tree, the manifestation of unified emptiness, clarity, and compassion. The tree transforms into myself, appearing as Chenrezig, seated upon a cushion of lotus and moon. I have one face and 4 arms, 2 are joined at the heart, and the other 2 hold a lotus and a garland. Peaceful and with loving continence, I am dressed in the garments of the Sambhogakaya Buddha. Sitting in cross-legged posture, my lower body is enfolded in a lotus. In the space in front, upon the seat of a lotus and a moon, appears a red Hri gleaming with light. The light radiates, pleasing the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and gathering their knowledge, love, and power. The light then dissolves back into the Hri. Again, light rays radiate to the 6 realms, purifying the karmic vision, self-grasping, and habitual imprints of sentient beings. The light gathers back, and the Hri transforms into the supreme protector of beings, Buddha Amitaba. He is bright red like a mountain of rubies, with 1 face and 2 arms, in equipoise mudra, holding a begging bowl. He is garbed in the 3 Dharma robes and sits in a cross-legged posture. Ceaselessly looking upon beings with eyes of compassion, he appears as the great embodiment of all Buddhas. On his right is the noble supreme Chenrezig, with 1 face, 2 arms, holding a white lotus with the left hand. White and adorned with jewels, he stands upright. To the left is the Lord of the Bodhisattva Vajrapani, with 1 face and 2 arms, holding a vajra in the left hand. Blue and adorned with jewels, he stands upright. They are surrounded by an assembly of bodhisattvas. The 3 places of the principal Lord are marked with the 3 syllables. From the syllables, white, red, and blue light radiate to the 10 directions, and in particular to the Pure Land of Sukhavati, invoking the heart pledge of Amitabha and his retinue, who then instantly appears at this place. Home, in the great bliss sphere of my own primordially pure awareness, abides Amitabha in retinue as the naturally present innate radiance. From the beginning, the samaya being and the wisdom being are one, yet your form manifests for the expanse of great love and compassion in accordance with the mental inclinations of beings. Following your heart pledge, please come here to this place and be seated indivisibly from the mandala of the samaya being. Bottom of page 10. Free. I offer this water endowed with the 8 attributes with the nature of generosity to the mouths of the victorious ones. May there be perfect fortune for all beings. I offer this foot-cleansing water, clear, cool, pristine, and exquisite, with the nature of morality to the feet of the victorious ones. May all beings be relieved from the torment of existence. I offer various beautiful celestial flowers that have the nature of patience to the eyes of the victorious ones. May all beings be endowed with the 7 attributes of the higher realms. I offer naturally sweet-smelling scents and blended incense that has the nature of diligence to the noses of the victorious ones. May all beings become free from the bonds of existence. I offer this precious, radiant, lustrous lamp that has the nature of meditation to the hearts of the victorious ones. May all beings clear away the dense darkness of their deluded minds. I offer fragrant medicinal elixir, saffron and the like, which has the nature of transcendent knowledge, to the bodies of the victorious ones. May all beings realize their inner nature of phenomena. I offer food endowed with the essence of 100 tastes, with the nature of method, to the tongues of the victorious ones. May all beings be sustained by the food of samadhi. I offer harmonious musical sounds, such as those of conch shell, drum, and bell, which have the nature of power, to the ears of the victorious ones. May all beings be endowed with the awakening mind. I offer the 5 desirables that appease the senses and have the nature of prayer, to the victorious ones. May all beings be satisfied by untainted bliss. I offer the 8 auspicious substances, the 8 auspicious symbols, and the 7 royal attributes, which have the nature of wisdom, to the victorious ones. May all beings attain the attributes of Buddhahood. All owned and unknown things of the entire infinite billion-fold universe, my own body, enjoyments, and all possessions, I offer without holding anything back to the pure land of Sukhavati. May the self-grasping of beings be thereby fully pacified, and may they be endowed with the awakening mind, and may their birth in the pure land be unobstructed. Realizing that my own mind is the Buddha, I pay homage on the ultimate level, abiding within ungraspable empty awareness. Everything comprised within appearance and existence is offered. Deluded perceptions of dualistic grasping are confessed within the expanse of Dharmata. I rejoice within the state of spontaneous completion of the 3 kayas. The Dharma wheel of unceasing compassion will always turn. Abide within the natural Dharmakaya that pervades all samsara and nirvana. In infinite pervasiveness, there is no reference point of the three spheres. Dedication will always take place. Pre, ever turning the wheel of Dharma in the pure land of Sukhavati, you unceasingly look upon sentient beings with compassion. Homage and praise to Amitabha, who, abiding in equipoise, follows his pledge to act for the purpose of beings. To Chenrezig, Vajrapani, the other bodhisattvas, the noble assembly of arhats, and the gathering of deities abiding in Sukhavati, I humbly pay homage and offer praise with body, speech, and mind. Bottom of 17. At the heart of myself, appearing as Chenrezig on a moon disk, is a Hri surrounded by the six-syllable mantra circling clockwise. From it, light radiates, and a white mantra garland issues forth, emerges from my heart, and dissolves into the heart of the deity visualized in front. Thus, Amitabha's compassionate heart pledge of body, speech, and mind is invoked. From the mantra garland around the Hri at the heart of Amitabha, a red mantra garland of light emerges from his mouth, enters my mouth, and I obtain the blessings and attainments. In this way, the mantra circles continuously between myself and Amitabha. The multicolored light issuing from the circling mantra garland pleases the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, purifies the 3 types of obscurations of all sentient beings in the 3 realms, and the universe and beings transform into a pure land of Sukhavati.
나다 아무데가 자량이 하나를 양다라 참니 송무요리 드리다다 아무데가 도설하고 사고 들이 요거 송무리 아무데가래 이 제발 가리는지 저당하게平庸节나 양다제는 철책동이라 양다 매화가 차 잡차지도는 그러니까 양다지 그 철책대 배우체성을 강는 거를 뭐지 하게 루치서게 돈 쓰는 소용을 다 땅마다 잔절라 땡땡 요비 멈더져서 그래서 바바가 당 무엇도 어디 엄마들이 대체로 소를 당가 또 설계하고 서 요거도 거야. 대여 선만이 거는 그러는데 우리 비용질들이 막 다양한 체라들이 같이 당한테 장가는 하 다양하게 이런 동안 로요래. 막 다양한 데들이 땡땡 용미 맘대로 되나. 막 다양한 지수 이 세다 로요래. 무슨 코로나니나 러양지보 삼대가 러양지 러양 양니보는 장나 이 세거든 속에들이 샘스 롱다 샘니안 제리들이 그러면 뭐지고요 오 마양 대다들이 라 생고마거든이 진바지요 안돼봐 이 하고를 뒤는 나 다양한데 세대 냠도 저거 도당을 그리 다양지다 마 조금 돌리는 비용 자량기들이 제요래. 자량기들하고 저도 양만 잡잖아. 자주 따르잖아. 샘도 짓을 줘요. 내가 가까이 제는 남이 내가 담을 제는 마디지라 샘들이 쇼로래. 나야 하장 니보나. 나야 니바 메나. 내가 뒤짓을 줘 말이. 이두가만 고자고래. 뒤치 빠져래. 대시고래. 내가 마디 이것을 공말인데 공마딱 봐라. 마음에 이바데 통통 양고 이지민지 양고래. 뒤가네 들이가게 뭐라 땅으로 가다 봐로 빠자니 뭐도 칼로래. 명이 지미 바디지 하려고. 그리고 고만은 참참 용인데. 그리고 밤에 나 다양해서 고랑 이게 무슨 쇼도 없이 내다고 랍서. 오 자티스 합들이 이제 세월을 따지. 말 아니나 대양지 밤에 민파 가리 양을 양당人 좋아지요. 양도 좋으래. 제제라는 게 들이 조금 회지양 강반하나 강반 같이 자당 초고 말이 청구들이 야미 동초 말이 강반이 양도는 동초를 라는 게 집어를 주라고는 나 다양제도 당연히 이제가 세대 대양은 저거래 가보는 다양 당연히 한장 배우고 제머리 그러나 소소만 되더니 누구 마다만 많이 참아를 줄 때다들이 삼체이 박찬 좋고 요래 양들 기체모래
It is said that one should recite the mantra in its melody, such as the Amitabha mantra. But then there's also practitioners who, for example, commit to accumulating 100 million Amitabha mantras. And then if they want to accumulate that many mantras, they recite those mantras very quickly. So it goes like Amitabha Shri, Amitabha Shri, like this. So now what's the difference between these two kinds of recitation? So one is very slow, that we chant in a beautiful melody, and one goes very fast, we accumulate. In a text speaking of the benefits of mantra recitation, it says that the difference between reciting a mantra in melody once and reciting the mantra quickly 100 times, so what's the difference between them? Reciting the mantra only once in a melody is more beneficial than reciting that mantra quickly hundreds, not just 100, but hundreds of times. And so also Guru Rinpoche, in a text teaching on the mantra recitation during great accomplishment practices, eruption, when eruptions are accumulated. So in there it says that the difference between reciting a mantra, kind of pure or impure, or kind of clear or unclear, is 100 times. So reciting a mantra clearly is 100 times more beneficial than reciting it unclear. And then reciting that mantra from within a state of samadhi multiplies the benefit by 100,000 times. And so we ordinary individuals consider the concrete world as most important. And so when we want to accumulate 100 million Amitabha mantras, for example, then we want to do that very quickly. So we recite Amitaba, Amitaba. So we recite that very quickly. So we get, because in our mind we think that I have to get to 100 million. And of course, if you are not distracted doing that the whole time, that's okay. But then, so what usually happens is that we are distracted, and so that is why actually it is said that it is more beneficial to recite the mantra slowly and in a beautiful melody, because then the mind focuses on the mantra. The mind goes together with the mantra, and that is why the samadhi, reciting it with samadhi, multiplies the benefit by 100,000 times, because the mind follows the melody. And that is also how things are in our ordinary lives, actually. For example, sometimes when somebody hears a very beautiful song, like a love song, then their mind and the wind energies come together when they hear this beautiful song. They begin to cry. So through the mind and winds coming together, water then collects in their eyes and they start to cry. And so the same thing happens when we recite the mantra. And so also when we recite the mantra, there are those higher beings, the deities, that know that. Because the deities have the quality of knowledge, compassion, and power. So the deities are aware of us, and therefore we are connecting to them when our mind goes together with the mantra chant. So therefore it's more beneficial to recite the Amitabha mantra slowly and with the melody than quickly and a large amount of numbers. And so of course, on an ongoing basis, it's difficult to always chant the mantra in this melody. And what you can do here is you can play a recording of the mantra, so you always hear that the melody of the mantra. And then again, your mind will go together with the mantra. You can play this recording in all the activities that you do. You can always have it playing in the background. Of course, the melody has to be nice. When the melody is nice, then the mind will follow that melody. Of course, if the melody is really unpleasant, the mind will not follow the melody. You will not want to listen to that, then you will stop it. You will close it. So that's also important to understand. So it's actually in the past, back in the monastery, every evening we almost had sort of a rule. We had to recite the Amitabha mantra in melody for some time. We had to chant it. And back in that time, there was also a person, his name was Chimir Bardin. He was my driver, and he sometimes would visit me at the monastery. And then sometimes when he would hear the Amitabha mantra chanted in this melody, he actually told me when he hears that, he just can't help but cry. And that's also a sign of the deity's blessings, that the love of the deity has come to him, and he feels that. And also I myself really have a much stronger feeling, a stronger experience of mantra. That really is what leads to this experience. So the melody is really important. So if in your homes, and if you're living together with another person, and it's okay to sound the mantra, then you should play it. But if you live with somebody who doesn't really like to hear the mantra, or if it's just not allowed, if there's some kind of a rule that you can't play any music, then of course, that's one thing. Then you have to, like, you can't always listen to it. But if it is okay, if there is some way that you can listen to the mantra, if you're by yourself at some times, or if you're in a retreat sometimes, whenever you can, then you should play the mantra on a loop, just continuously. Whenever you hear that sound of the mantra, your mind will follow it. And that's the greatest benefit that we get from the mantra. And actually not only you receive the benefit, also all the other beings that you cannot see are benefited from the sound of the mantra. All of these non-human beings, the various spirits, they also benefit from the sound of the mantra. And it helps them develop love in their minds. It places the imprint of love into their minds. So that is why chanting the mantra in melody is very important.
Amitabha Accumulation loku jasila lona then somanga shirete jasila deb jam lo deb jam lo te kari yaga do so o deb jam lo jasila dona koso selo toa chega do deb jam lo to jasila lo de kan choko be do deb film te ta ba de yinda yi de deb yang de film che bo yore de den gor bo jo ngang to go yore Lamas and Hindi young Jews, the relatively young dad of each of your down young guy kind of chop your that are totally your head.
Guru Rinpoche said, you enter into the sound of the mantra's beautiful melody. Without any doubt. So totally immerse yourself in the beautiful sound of the mantra. And that is something I've always kept in mind also back in Tibet, and that is why I made a great effort to hold group chant practices in Tibet and encourage people to chant the mantra in this way. And also in the past we would hold, for example, Amitabha group chants in Taiwan, and we would always recite the 37 Bodhisattva practices in the beginning of the practice. And then at some point, some disciples came to me and said that, now should we recite the 37 practices in a melodic rhythm or not? And they said that if I recite that in a melodic rhythm, then a real feeling arises. But if I just recite it and don't really chant it in any kind of rhythm or melody, I don't really feel anything. That's what they said. So I said, of course, you can recite it in a rhythmic melody. And that also actually accords with Guru Rinpoche's instruction that you should fully immerse yourself in the melodic sound of the mantra. So the sound of the mantra, the melody of the mantra is really important. And as the mantra sound resounds, reverberates, it pervades the 5 elements. And so that is also something you should keep in mind.
Take eagle, toss up water, Jabba young master, just so sad, the young Jim of that. Jabba carry, Jabba young cheddar, Mulan number tower, Mulan number of Mulan, Mulan number tower, the treaty, Jabba Minister Shambayore, toss on in Mambo, Yona, told the Jabba Yore, Jabba carry, oh, treaty, daddy. Chayo, gay Joyo, I do what take that something. The Tora Tango Yore, the Daji Char, the Hora is just so Yore. When I'm good at it, the Pagimagini, should have a go your coin. You make a sort of a song, 이게 그냥 육내차 지레지레 송대 다음 나라 육내차 이거래 솔로 육내차 이거래 다 나게 육내차 이거는 차지도 창을这个 인지 내라고 상 말해 주로지다게 뭐 나는들이 뭐하지 게다지 다 zon은 네 게다지 다 zon은데 라가 가르쳐와도 다지니네 다도 저거 여러 뭐요래 다들 독기지 뭐하더래서 기본적인 이상 뭐게 뭐하지 왜 그래 주독기가 뭐하다 동의가 뭐 하고 왜 하고 면은 뭐지 가래를 습기 탐색 뭐하여 오죽이네 습기 탐색 뭐요 저 동의가 뭐하래서 당위 뭐서 대독래서 뭐 자는 거죠 고선 명미가 뭐 아대들이 뭐 하나 봤다고 그래 좀 기본적인 이상 뭐가 소모래 제르들이 양도 싸우는 되는 거니 접장 초사지 받사 촉세 뒤로사니 너바데 가래 니제요 송 얘는 진이 뒤송 송요래 조금 민적 조야 내제절 얘는 쪽도 커다 제걸 줘서 주세기 다음에 대바시는 나자체보들 마삼시 오 세기 다음에 비바도 내 정도 마삼시 책이 송에 대섭제 하장들이 송잡 제발게 라는 소소랑 줄이 돼서 걸 초사시바데 쓰는 삼제 사크 요래 다들 매일 제에서 나들이 다진이 참을 잠자 찍 요래 나온데 봐 잠고 요래 나연 잡아데 나에도 사제게 나데 다 매발 다도 좀 요래도 저 세지 삼제 다도 막가리 나나 상어다 가리를 타만 나 연거래 나한테 매 로그를 들여 버려. 내가 상제게 토만이 요 말이지. 마음과라 요 말이지. 다다라고 옹적 로그를 좀 해지. 사지가 까세마다 양다는 로그도 가려 버려. 그래서 너 뭐래. 리도 나 타도 리도 뭐래. 다들 지지해신 다들 막셔한테만 다들 로성서 리더를 때려. 내가 사잡비를 사자걸 해서 송이 동이 잠치 누처가 리드 자단 자무지스 로당 딘빈 코르시나 다르소 남티드롱송 로당 디바들로 진피를 로라 진피를 로데 용디리데 단디데 중에서 하고는 드레 용디리 저쪽으로 타마 이동을 전에 타통 이동이 쭉 가라서를 저기 사요 말이지 상하가 세낭 상섬지는 상하시 봐도 오사버리지 상하가 따와오면 주 카라디 장사요 말이지 장스 아니요 말이지 가리 나는 서버 강강해 서버 탐지가 사요래지 서게 하고 다 체력을 돌리 하고 딱 제대로 리즈 서버면 차주는 조철다가 좀 조상다고 우리 다지요 말이지 근데 나 총총 보면 다 서버 조철지 주로 가라사니 요 말이지. 가라서 납시들 가도 납시들 가도 나도 그도 동당도 내 마토는 다 다음에 또 시작돼. 이 산지마도 서치게 하고 말이지. 산지가 하고 다지도 나요 말이 좀대 토마니 단딘지 오체도 별로 상하님을 듣지는 못하나 강성거리지 듣지 못하리더니 라다라지 제 달고리지 제 거리지 제지 다지 달고리지 호와가 따와가 강에서空当 제지 강에 상空当 제지 다리에서 남이 도고 토해요 내 부가되 그거리 매들 우리한테 단지 다 매와 하고서는 다음에 자라가 타토가 다 단지지 없지 다들 달고리에서 대동 망고시로 되는 초사 접장의 책대기 시는 저는 초상의 수는 루마에서 기아 강사도 놓고요. 얘한테 가서 네네네 듣고도 다들 뭐니 다들 동로 다기니요 말 셈지도 셈다 나가 셈지 제직 봐야 돼. 나 철에 사제 가는 애들이 나 잠재 찍어도 가지. 잠재 수 가는 사제 잠재 찍고 되게 나 잠재 하고 고소 차로는 그 레주를 캐리면서 셔탈이 요말이지 냐와 요말이지 강 요말 레주데 요말이 달라리 따가 되시고 이게 딱 고소 비비 차로는 저거래지 차롱 탐지랑 이제는 차롱만 습기물에서 요 말이지. 우리 신진양 미시만 탐지하고 동자를 얘기지 여러분 매이송 딱와서 버려. 이걸 싸로 줄였다 그러면 나는 당하는데 나한테 뒤에 나한테 말을 봐야지. 그러면 어디서 뭐는 거야. 세부 내로만 통과 되었다라고 그래. 내로 통도 세는 남과 체비라서 세는 남과로 남과 다지지요 말에. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਪਪਾ ਤੋਂ ਮੰਗੀ ਨਾ ਯਾ ਪਪਾ ਤੋਂ ਮੰਗੀ ਸਭ ਪਪਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਪਪਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਆ ਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਲੈ ਸੀ ਗੋਰੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਪਪਾ ਚਾ ਪਪਾ ਨਾਂਗੇ ਪਪਾ ਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਮੰਗੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਮਾਰੀ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੇ ਪਾਸ਼ਲ ਤੇ ਤੋਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਥਾ ਤੋਂ ਵਾਜੇ ਦਾ ਮਾਰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਰੀ ਜੀ ਮਾਰ ਬਾਕੋ ਉਹ ਸੱਚੀ ਸੱਚੀ ਤੇ ਨੰਗ ਜੀ ਲੈ ਉਹ ਪਪਾ ਤੋਂ ਬੰਦਾ ਜੀ ਲੈ ਕੋਤੀ ਤੇ ਤੂੰ ਆ ਕੋ ਜੋ ਕਾਚੇ ਮੋਰ ਤੇ ਹਾ ਕੋ ਬਰ ਖੋਆ ਥੋਮਾ ਮੇ ਬਾਨੇ ਦਾ ਬਾਦ ਦਾਤੀ ਦਾ ਜ਼ੁਮ ਤੇ ਸੋਂਗੇ ਕੋਤੋ ਪੇ ਖਬੋਰੇ 차르브 이때 가리 드리다 혼 삼바다 그게 재미적인 고소시 아 동해듯이 동해시 발사하지 달들이 동해 가리고 나와 달에 저거도 없어 그 동나무스 다 동해 매발질 딱 가려 다 매발 통통고 나지 이거 저기 다주 상제 상제는 나지 상수나 얘들 남카데 샘도 남카 체외가 차더라지 대 사제 공부다 체발지 도망만이 왔대 때 말아비 남치만 통지 시통송 나오다면 남치대 딱지 딱만 남치대 무조건 남치대 남카다 버리지 뭐지 내 성도들이 다 습기 탑지 이 시대 남카를 토만해요 그래서 마음과라 요르지 다다 요르지 그것도 뭐나서 스승 직장마다 매 누군가라 착바매 또미시 바람 정도 되면서 하면서 그래서 뭐 뒤도 동상도 되게 광도를 그래서 다 동네 매배 대와 전부 다 받아 먹어 저기 동네 매배 대와 다 받아 강나 요리지 시가 요면 나는 요리지 나는 그 세진이라고 통도 다주 동네 매배 대와 뭐 포함을 한다고 좀 왔다 그래야지 라는 내 마사라 플라 샤용장 늘 빠져만 되나 나지 그 빠져만 되나 레좀들 놀다 그래 대만이로 라고 빠만냐 플라 샤용아 요 말이지 데이터도 공부도 데이터 디송요 내가 그거한테 좀 왔다 그래 다 사바다 이제 과송세 대회를 타톡 통을 다 다음에 레오 가리리 타톡 통을 다디 매발에 레오 센스도 말이지 샘들 다음에 마시송 다다다 초사 점장데 초사도 삼제디 다보자 요즘 첫타워 삼제 첫타워는 되다고 양 드바장들이 되게 삼제 다 파면 좀다시 다도 마송데 다음에 가래 다 동장도 다 콜토비고 다 와지는 다진이 맞아봤다는 말이야 그런 콜토비고 다 동매병 와서 내때려서 초사 점장한테는 초사되는 삼제 사초가 세들 르가 있는 거네 제가 세대도 삼제를 들어서 드바장을 가야 되는데 좀 탈다지 이리 장모요래 들 초사 점장모안에 띠문나 남다지 드바군에 문나 그 장거요래 문나는 띠 장거요래 이 문나 가리래 남그 탈톡적 같이 담바서 주종제들로 거래 주종 문나 담별로 이걸로 싸로도 같이 시험은 거고 말이지 이제 송도 그러지 대회네들이 하자 같이 뭐래
And so today we come back to those four causes of taking birth in Devachan. And so there's two more that we will speak about today, and that is the cause of accumulating merit and purifying obscurations, and then the condition, which is the perfectly pure aspiration prayer. So first, accumulating merit and purifying obscurations. There's these two terms here. So the obscuration, how do we actually purify our obscurations? We actually purify them really through the last cause, which is the perfectly pure aspiration prayer, or also the dedication. This is really what purifies the obscurations. Because how does that happen? It is because now first we accumulate merit, and then we have to purify obscurations, right? So we accumulate a lot of merit, so we engage in all kinds of practices. But then what happens while we do that? What arises in our mind? I did this, I practiced, I accomplished this. I did all of these practices, I accumulated all of this merit and so on. And this is how we actually kind of spoil the merit that we actually could accumulate, because we still cling to this duality of me and others. And by doing that, we are actually establishing another foundation for samsara. Now, in the past, there was an old man and woman, a married couple, who really liked the Dharma, and they did some Nyingma practices together. And so they did 4 sets of 4. So each did 4 sets of Nyingma. And so then the man then said that I'm giving you 2 of mine. So he thought that, so I practiced those 4, so I'm now giving you mine. So then, so they thought that they shared it, so they both have it basically. So this is a noble thought, but then on the other hand, it becomes tainted because there is this me. I practiced virtue. I did this practice, and then there is you. So there is self and other. And actually, one of my teachers in the past, his name was Khenpo Tenzin. He actually said that this kind of dedication actually is poisonous dedication. So one time he actually asked me, and do you understand really what it is that a dedication is poisonous, and how does a dedication really become a true dedication? And so, do you even realize that your dedication could be poisonous? And I said, no, I didn't realize that, Rinpoche. And then he said that now you're dedicating for sentient beings, but then when you actually think about it, those sentient beings that you're dedicating for, are there real sentient beings? There are no real sentient beings. And you have to realize some selflessness and dedicate the virtues with a wisdom that transcends the 3 spheres, or transcends these concepts of others, self and others. So it's that which makes our dedication become tainted or poisonous. And the dedication that is non-conceptual, that is the pure dedication. So this is what Khenpo Tenzin Sangpo told me. And I was thinking about this over and over again. And so it is really true. So when we now accumulate merit and then purify obscuration, so what we accumulate is bodhicitta. But then as we accumulate it, as we practice, we always think that I practiced it, I did this practice, therefore, so and so on. So we recognize our effort. And also Lord Jigten Sumgön had said that if to accomplish the benefit of others, often medicine turns into poison. Do not allow medicine to turn into poison, but benefit others from the state of an unbiased mind. Meaning that you're not thinking about me. I did this special thing for someone or for sentient beings. Don't think about yourself and practicing the Dharma. That's really the point. And that's a very profound instruction, an instruction that you really should always keep in mind. So again, when we accumulate merit, we accumulate love, of course, for sentient beings. But then there is this thought of, I did this, I'm doing this. And so there is this perception of me and others. And the thing that we need to actually purify is that concept of me, I, this fixation of me. The Buddha told us you are grasping or believing in a self that does not actually exist, but it always arises. We constantly think me, me, me. And it arises momentarily, moment by moment. The Buddha said that it doesn't arise in the past, it doesn't arise in the future, it arises right now. And that is why he called it beings are obscured by adventitious things. Adventitious meaning momentarily, right now. It just suddenly arises and then it's gone again. And the words of the Buddha are really truthful. So how does the I adventitiously or all of a sudden arise? We see something and instantly we think it's mine. And the ultimate thing that we think of me is our body. We look at our bodies and think that that's me, that's my body. That's the ultimate self-grasping. And we spend a lot of time, effort, and money on our bodies. As Sakya Pandita said in a text called The Excellent Words of Advice, Words of Excellent Advice, he said that if you do not know how to use it properly, then this body becomes your worst enemy in an ocean of suffering. Wise people or sensible people who know how to use it properly, to them it becomes a support to accumulate merit. So a wise person, a sensible person, is someone who understands the good quality of altruism and understands the fault of self-grasping. And understanding that, they are able to transform everything, every fault, into a good quality. And so then somebody may understand that, but then they still debate and they say that, yeah, you say that, but then isn't it you who is eating food, delicious food, for example? Actually, no, because so we always have the outer, inner, and the secret. And according to the secret mantra and the Vajrayana, actually, if you understand that view, it is said that you are actually not eating food when you're eating food, because your body is pervaded by countless microorganisms. Even scientists actually have realized that, and they say there's many microorganisms in the body. And the Buddha spoke about like 1,200,000 different types of microorganisms. And so when you're eating food, they are actually eating the food. There's no you that's eating the food. There is no real you. They are all eating that food, and your body is like the city, the large city of all these microorganisms that they inhabit. And when you're eating food, it's actually consciousness, in a way, eating the food. But then when you try to find the consciousness, where is that consciousness eating the food, it's nowhere to be found. And that is what we ultimately need to see. We need to cultivate, we call this the wisdom that realizes selflessness. And that is something that only the Buddha had realized and no one else really understood. And with this understanding, the Buddha told us, there is no self. You have no self. You just falsely believe in a self. And so also in order to kind of clarify this, often when we begin a Drupchen, for example, the Vajrakilaya Drupchen, we always in the beginning we start, a text begins with liberating enemies. We need to separate them from enemies. But then in the Vajrakilaya liberation section, for example, so it says in there that when enemies and obstructors are slain or liberated, and then there is no more basis or ground for a self to dwell in. So this text really explains what the real enemy is. The real enemy that we annihilate or destroy is only ourself. So the self needs to be destroyed. And so therefore we need to recognize there is no outer enemy. Our true enemy is only ourself. And so therefore, when we realize that, we make an effort to eliminate self-grasping. Now coming back to these causes of birth in Deva Chen, so accumulating merit and purifying obscurations. So again, we accumulate merit with body, speech, and mind, and we are accumulating love. And that is good. But then there's always this thought of I did this practice, I did all these great things, and so on. And ultimately, there is no self and no other. The basis of mind of sentient beings is one and the same. We have the same mind. And the one who realizes that their mind is like water. For example, if you understand that and feel great love for others, then you understand that I truly love others. I've understood that what I need to accumulate is just love. And I understand that through the Buddha's great love. And those sentient beings, they're still like ice blocks because they do not accept, they do not understand karma. So in people who don't understand karma, for example, those holding kind of a materialistic or barbarian views and so on, they think that when they die, it's all over and they're gone. But actually that is not true. They will go on. They don't know that they will take birth, either in the hell realms or in a pure land. But they don't believe in that. They say there is no hell realms, there's no pure land, there's no afterlife, there is no karma. So I feel great compassion for them. Their mind is like an ice block because they don't understand. But then there is no real ice block. Also, ice is nothing but water. There are no real sentient beings. In the Yamantaka practice, we always say, no true object of compassion exists. We always recite this prayer, but we rarely really think about it. So this self that we cling to, the self is ignorance. This is also explained in the Samantabhadra prayer. So not seeing the nature of the mind is what we call self. The mind is actually like space. There is no self and other in space. For example, it's like two vases that are empty. So on the outer level, viewing them externally, there's two pots, two vases. That is what we call samsara. There's two vessels. Wise people, they come and break those vessels, those vases. And once those vases are broken, the emptiness inside those vases, it becomes one. There is no two, no separation in emptiness. And that is when you realize that there is no self. That is when you realize emptiness, the true meaning of emptiness. It is when you realize that yourself does not exist. And then you naturally realize that others also do not exist. There are no real sentient beings. So currently, these sentient beings are just like these vases, which are actually empty on the inside. And this is what we need to understand here. And so since beginningless time up until now, we have held on to ourselves. Sentient beings have held on to themselves. And that is why they always suffer. They are ice blocks. And so we have to benefit them by slowly melting. It's very difficult for them to immediately just melt. First, we introduce them to suffering. You have to recognize suffering, understand suffering. And then they're introduced to the four immeasurables. And slowly the ice block is melting. They recognize that, when they recognize suffering, like, why do I suffer? I suffer because I just think of myself. If you want to be free from suffering, what do you have to do? I have to rid myself of self-grasping. I have to realize that there is no self and no other. And so this is then what leads to Buddhahood, or Sangye in Tibetan. And so Sang means to purify self-grasping, and Ye means expansive or vast. Once there is no more self-grasping, the mind becomes vast like space. So that is the especially enlightened intent of the Buddha. Milarepa had said, I do not see consciousness, I only see primordial wisdom. So we have this ordinary consciousness, that the consciousness that thinks that that's me, the mind that you think that's me. If you really look at this mind, you analyze it, there's nothing there, there is no consciousness there. Its essence is like space. And when you see this, you see that all sentient beings are that. All sentient beings are primordial awareness. Since beginningless time, space has always been as it is. And it will be as it is in all future times, and it is as it is now. In the Samantabhadra prayer, it says, even if the three worlds were to be destroyed, there is no fear. There is no attachment to the five desirables of the senses. So ultimately, once we realize deathlessness, we achieve a state that is beyond all suffering, a state of great bliss that is beyond all suffering. And so where can we find this? It's nowhere on the outside. We find it inside of ourselves. When you look at your own mind, this is where you find great bliss beyond all suffering. Once you have found it, you will see all samsaric appearances as illusory or dreamlike by nature. You will no longer accumulate karma. And karma is just like recording a film, kind of film roll, and it becomes projected. When there is no more self-grasping and no more karma accumulated, nothing is recorded. There is nothing projected. Nothing will manifest. No negative appearances. So this is what we need to ultimately realize. And this is then what we call the union of the two truths. And so one realizes this and recognizes that all these temporary appearances that one perceives are illusory by nature. And on the temporary or relative level, it is said one always needs to hold on to a mind of love and compassion. Ultimately, one abides in a state where one realizes selflessness. It is said that the fruition is found within the mind. And it is realized when you realize that the mind has no self. So now when we accumulate merit and purify obscurations, we are accumulating love. So we are maintaining love. And that is just like maintaining hot water, so that it can never freeze. And what we need to purify, what becomes purified by that is self-grasping. It will naturally go away. If you don't cling to it, it will naturally go away. And when it goes away, your dedication, prayer, will naturally become perfectly pure and beyond the concept of the three spheres. When you see that self and other do not actually exist, your dedication will naturally become undefiled or not poisonous. So when we accumulate merit and purify obscurations, we accumulate love, bodhicitta, with body, speech, and mind. We engage in all activities with such a mind, and that naturally purifies this grasping at self and other. And then we seal with the condition of the perfect dedication prayer. So it's actually really this concept-free dedication prayer that purifies the obscuration. That's why the aspiration prayer dedication is very important. Also in the Bodhicharya Vatara, the dedication prayer that we always recite, that in one verse it says, the limits of space are endless, and just like that, my aspiration is endless, like the limits of space. If you just read this and understand this, you don't even need a teacher. Everything is really in there. Everything is understood in there. So that's also, it's a very important prayer.
이리시 독거래서 라는 가는 독거말이지 매지 담에들 라마 봉보 라롱카지 동시리베 동시리 뭐 같이 보여라 늘 같이 오는 카 총사랑가 땅스 그래서 말았던 거 멀리지 접접접서 까나면 랑게 가는 독거말이지 라마 봉보 라롱카 같이서 말았더니 총사랑가 버르듯이 뭐 담에 하고
So, about accumulating merit and purifying obscurations, there's this one saying we have in Tibet. And so basically, first the meaning of that saying is that, so what they're trying to say is that, so you lamas, you always tell other people, practice this, practice that, but then you yourself actually don't practice any of that. So there's this saying, so that's the meaning of the saying. And then the saying is that you kind of master lama sit here with your horn, the instrument, the long horn, and you proclaim with the long horn, do this, do that. So that the horn is long to others, but like the mouthpiece, like your horn, is short. So basically meaning that you tell others, it's like very long, you tell them do this, do that, but then your part is very small. So you don't practice much.
당이 때도 다저 그 따라서 동네 남한테 용이 싸움 땅고 다 레즈비를 싸움 땅나 다 레즈비 시베들이랑 때서 로로 창거리 레즈비 마시나 당이 또는 라시자는 망보요래 레즈비 미실이 당저 라시 잡선 것도 되잖아 망보요래 저 라시자죠 파쇼들이지 랑가사로 싸움도 레게 남한테 맞대 다그 와쇼 하고네 라가 좀 강하니 고소들이 라마야들이 야서 라마 기본한게 라마에 받대 야고소 들이라게 레에 받들이지 라게 소르면아 가는 변는데 또 강하네 다 라마 기본가 서른 뭐제다들이 나시 아들을 뭐죠 강나와니야 들이자 라마 탐지는 공가 토대지 보는 말 토대지 보여래 공나만 얘기더니 무슨 뜻이 주시 이 저거 말이 가자 찍고도 취돼. 칼용 말비 명도 될 것도 해거래. 라리 따와서 시사 취리시고요. 다 취도 매발도 먹었어 거예요. 대회들이 이랑 김범마 설은 뭐지 그송 아들은 뭐지 사비는 얘기 대표 정권을 뒤에 꼭 얘기를 듣고 가봐가리. 홍디 뭐고 너네 쥐 뭐고 너네 요리 뛰는 양 사절시에는 저기 바고요래. 아들부터 배에 개발을 하고 얘를 개발을 하고 이 저기 살이자데 뒤시올리 얘를 들고 갑털 그런 거들이 독진기처럼 지금 모남당 내로 돌제스가 가지고 대화가 짜지 못되니 대상지 관리 꼴 빌려가는 남들이 사와 있다고요래. 그러면 된 것도 모남당 야세라리 소들마데 되잖아 저희도 있으면 대저들로 대 맞죠 지나 내가 많이 cortejene 대대 다 제가 뭐다 뭐제디 세추사모송 대답을 세추사모송을 대대 세리가 대대 세리 소가들 세가 상거리를 세사시고 대대 가는 말이 가서 가요래 상거리 당연히 동네 토구나 다 대대들이 소쪽으로 막도 세가 가는 배경도 소질로 세로 세대 당뇨 봐요 대 현로도 또와 이 때리들이 때 같은 통으로 동작을 그리 때들이 제가 가는 평만 다 대대 다 제가 하고를 레주레실 이라리 소들만 되라 하다 자주 뭐다 대부터 셀나기리 다람 같은 좀 하나는 사졌나니 대대 빼고 대대 쏘고 다 뒤답자들이 랑요래 좀 하나니 랑한테 누구 가르쳐서 다 이제 저땅이 좀 하나니지 칼라가 강해치 보여래 요 대하고서 다랑게 민강나 라고 주고들만 많이 하고서 다 실了실고를 가지고 실고 칼라도 이런 파트들이 칼라 직접 맞으러 또 하면서 대해서 롱距离性 또하면도 가라 타만에 강에 파트 시 조코질레 이양 작하게 심마 쪽들이 아고르들이 양자가 사소치에서 마도들 랑 심다 다지 시길 타야나 타지를 가라 타만에 파트 랑게 말이 배송을 또리처럼 이제 막 통성을 다 고도를 말에 통성되지 비가요리 화장실 뭐 가요리 내가 랑게 솔랑만 가라 타만 도망갈 때 마땅 이제 이제 그때는 참조들이 다 고도 저도 여태 제가 돈은 미소 또 속은 미소 야고 전에 또 다다고 자 이제 미소 거래지
It is a very important proverb, actually, that we really should actually think about. And so it's something especially that came to me during my time in prison. And before I went to prison, I did actually not think about it a lot. But then after I was in prison, there was so much suffering in prison. We were beaten, abused. There was a lot of suffering of hunger and thirst and cold and so forth. There was incredible misery in that prison camp. And that is really when I began to think about karma, cause and effect. When I began to think about karma and understood karma, my mind became very relaxed. Then there were many who did not understand karma, did not think about karma. And a lot of these people committed suicide in prison because they couldn't think about karma. But for me, not only did I not think about suicide, I actually gained a lot of benefit. So first of all, I understood karma. I knew that this purifies my own karma. And then also in prison, this is really where I began to meet my actual root gurus. For example, like Khenpo Rinpoche and Nangchen Adar Rinpoche. And they were very, very dear to me. It is through them, that I really learned much about the Dharma. And those two, Khenpo and Adar Rinpoche, they had a very special compassion for me among all the different lamas. And of course, in prison, we were not allowed to have Dharma teachings or talk about the Dharma or listen to the Dharma. If there's one thing that was completely prohibited, not allowed, it was the Dharma. And people were even afraid of secretly reciting the Mani mantra, just moving their mouth when reciting the mantra. So that is the main issue of the so-called barbarian view. They do not like the Dharma. They are afraid of the Dharma, and they want to destroy any religion, any Dharma. And so now in prison, Khenpo Rinpoche and other Rinpoche were in some kind of special circumstances. They had some opportunities to actually preserve the Dharma. For example, other Rinpoche had this small book where he was able to write notes. And so now in prison, we were divided up into like 7 people in a cell and a confinement. And these Dharma teachings, when you had to write them down, you needed a scribe who was able to, kind of like a secretary or a scribe who was able to write it down for you. But Adar Rinpoche was actually a great scholar, and he was able to read and write really well. And so he also, therefore, had someone he often had to write things. And so that's why he had the kind of like a scribe or a secretary who wrote things down. And so what he wrote down were many special prayers in this tiny little booklet. And so he wrote down, for example, a very precious Dzogchen aspiration prayer, or some verses. There are some verses on like realizing the nature of mind. Some very special words that he then kept with him secretly hidden. And so among these various teachings that were written down in small letters was also the Samantabhadra prayer and the 37 Bodhisattva practices. And that is something that I always kept in mind. And sometimes when I would have a chance to sleep, I would close my eyes and I would just mentally recite these prayers. And these prayers, even though they are a very small booklet, the Lamas have said that these prayers are more precious than, treat these prayers as more precious than a chunk of gold. They are more profound and precious. And of course, for an ordinary person, if you gave them a choice, what do you want? Do you want this little book or do you want a piece of gold? Most people would probably take the gold and think that, what's that book? It's like worth nothing. But actually, when you encounter suffering, it's that little book that will protect you. When you encounter suffering, that gold will not help you anything. Actually, it may even harm you. First of all, you always have to be afraid that you will lose the gold or that somebody steals it, takes it from you. And then maybe somebody robs you, attacks you when they steal it from you, and then you're even physically harmed. So it's really no benefit in the face of harm, in the face of suffering. But through this little booklet, like the 37 practices, you understand karma. And I believe that this is far more precious than a piece of gold. And so therefore, in prison still, while I was in prison, I took a commitment to myself that once I'm out, I'm going to distribute, I'm going to produce these little booklets. And during the time when I was still in prison, there was a lot of suffering in prison. One of the great miseries in prison was the lack of food. There was really no food. And so one time I was very ill and I was in the hospital, the prison's hospital, and I was ready to die. I wanted to die. And I also realized that there is no real body, and I was ready to die. And I began giving away my share of food, my ration of food to others. I stopped eating and gave my food to all the other prisoners. And I was not even hungry anymore this time. I also practiced some Chülen, taking in the essence of the wind energies. And I was ready to die, giving away all my food. But then the government officials, they didn't let me die. And they again built me back up to restoring my health. But at that time before that, I really made up my mind that I'm going to die now. And so I gave away all my food. Everything that I received, I gave it to others and stopped eating. And actually, Milarepa also said, in times of hunger, practice generosity. And when I gave this little piece of bread to someone, another prisoner, it was just a little bit, but they were so happy to receive it. So I gave all my food away and I stopped eating. And so now we will take a break here, take a 20 minutes break, and then we come back.
Oh, Amitaba, oh,
That way we'll know if there's any catch everybody before you start heading out around lunchtime. So for everyone checking out, especially those who are in beds here, if you could please strip your bed with your sheets, put your sheets and your towels into your pillowcase. And then also most of you have a cover over your comforter. So if you could please take the comforter out, those covers are blue or green striped, that's how you know. And then you'll also stuff that into the pillowcase as well. Or at least just put everything on the bed. It really helps our housekeeping staff to have that all done as we're collecting and having to do all of that housekeeping. And we're going to be collecting things as of 2 o'clock. You don't need to be out of your rooms by then, but if you're not going to be out by 3 o'clock, please let us know in the office. So 3 o'clock at the latest, that would be super. And anybody have any questions as we're finishing up? We have lunches included. All right, I think we should just a 10-minute break, right? Oh, okay. 30? Sorry? 11. Okay, so please be back in the temple at 11. Thank you.
우라릭 나와다 이거 대세로 되게 다시 우라릭 나와다 이거 대세.
Page number 19.
Innate awareness is the form of Amitabha. Look at the mind that is free of subject-object duality. There is no other Amitabha than that. How wondrous is the truth body of self-knowing awareness.
남시고 통송마 남시든 남가다에 차서 된 상황 타에지 남그 고대일 찹대 그래 죽은 남가다고 지송을 하고도 지지로 다 나와 타에 아니 가까마이지 아니 마테디 감수 생기는 샘데 우리 나와 타에 가까마이서 이 하고는 되다다디 다 나와지 라브르도 남아야 대통령 밤에 거 남다고 요래 봐 이제 걸린 줄로 생분도 밤에는 가리 싸마 되는 줄 타고요. 그래서 다 밤에 건너라고 샷고요. 그래서
So here it says innate awareness is the form of Amitabha. And so the name of the Buddha, Amitabha, and the ultimate truth, this innate awareness, are one and the same. It is the nature of your own mind. When you see the nature of your own consciousness, it is like space. It is like endless space. So that Amitabha also literally means Nangwa, which is Nangwa is appearances, or or it could also be like illumination, and then Taya is like endless, so endless, like boundless or boundless light, basically. So this boundlessness is that space, the space-like mind pervades everything. It's boundless. It pervades samsara and nirvana. So your mind is that. It is boundless like space. So when you recognize that, you know, I'm not separate from boundless space. I'm not separate from Amitabha. And not just me, all beings, everyone with a mind is not separate from that. And no matter how many appearances may manifest, boundless appearances, they all can manifest to you as the form of Amitabha. When you see that, they all become like a rainbow in the sky. When there is no grasping in your mind, then your mind can manifest whatever it conceives of. Everything can be made manifest as the form of Amitabha.
가서 온바 고토를 거충좀 그 당대가 이제 들이지 딱 가르치고 딱 참이 되는데 들이 십발 잡들 십발 잡을 빨고 와야지 이거 참이 되면 되라더니 담보 사적으로 책진이 다도 뭐도 상마지발 남자를 막 가상디 동토고요 하장도 개체버리 계약 감지가 상마지 로르도고요 용보 담지게 저기 롭고 말이지 이 참이 되면 십발 그 이제 봐 자면 하도 빠야 보장이데 들 잡아서 경험 식도 제시요래 들 콩빠자 빈마시 비게 틀리게다 돌아마서로 야토고요래 들 콩빠자 뭐 콩이 말이 고모스를 푸 고칼라사지 들 빠자면 성나데 야토가 야는 똥나초 콜나초 가래 저데 깡덤에 빠져들 들 빠자들이 나그래 토고요 말 들 고도 빠자면 들이지 나진 종을 대답지 참선이 라는 게 들으라는 그래서 저봐 대답지 내몸 잡사도 라면 못 받는 것도 공들이 받대 칼라테들이 맞아만 거 코로 줘래 똥은 들도 받는 코로 것도 맞아만 가리 그것도 송자는 그때 요인만 뭐요래 내 몸들이 나진을 배 차별에 튼다 보지 내가 공부 시발이 차별에 돼
And then when I returned to Tibet from prison in 1980, during that time, people there generally had a very strong habit of reciting the Amitabha mantra, especially the elderly. There were a lot of elderly people, and they were reciting that in secret. It was still not really allowed to practice. And so during that time also, no one really knew how to recite the prayer of birth in Devachan, the Chagma Rinpoche's prayer of birth in Devachan, and it was also not really allowed to practice. And so when I first returned to the monastery, and the monastery then was slowly reconstructed, many things were reinstated at the monastery, such as a statue of Guru Rinpoche and other tankas and images, and during that time also an image of Devachan. And so during that time I said that we have to print Chagma Rinpoche's Devachan prayer, the prayer of birth in Devachan, and that had to be printed on wood blocks. And so I really made that a priority because, as I mentioned yesterday, within that prayer of birth in Devachan, you have the entire path. It shows you the path from the very beginning when you first cultivate bodhicitta up until attaining enlightenment. It's really a very meaningful prayer. It's also something that the elderly have memorized and can practice easily. And then the younger ones were not really allowed to study or learn about the Dharma. And so that is why just to have this little prayer book was one of my priorities, and I wanted to print many of them. And so there was someone who helped me with that, who was very good with wood block printing. His name was Gelong Dorje. And he was so good at the printing that he did not corrupt even a single syllable, a single word. It was perfectly printed. And I gave him 3 yuan a day, so he has some food to eat. And I told him that once they're printed, anyone can take them. You can do with them whatever you want. You can sell them if you want, or you can just give them away for free. Anyone, just distribute them. And so eventually, we were able to print hundreds and thousands of these Devachan prayers, and they were spread all throughout the Nangchen region. And so sometimes they were given away as a gift. Some other people took them and sold them, and people who went and bought them. And so anyways, eventually it was all spread throughout Nangchen. And that was really one of our first projects at Gar Monastery. It was to print on wood block prints the Devachan prayer.
데려다 통로 고송들이 빠르들이 들이 쇼거들이 안데 참지 타마데 데 모라단 강바데 강바를 뛰는 수 나서서 탑을 저 강에 강바 고송들 상적으로 이 고송되오나 이 강바는 성체에 가봐 도서서도 봤다 그 요래 빼먹는 가 요래 통로 요래 되게 강바를 뛰는 수 나서서 들이 다 타마되는 거 차별을 쇼래 망보 가서들 나가 코로 쪽으로 다 고송도 빼려래 이렇게 잡으면 뭐안 빼려래.
And so also now when you print those books, then also you have to use a lot of like resources, like the wood blocks or also the paper. And so then also to save some of that and to just have something really compact, we also created those stickers, those liberation by seeing, which were also printed on wood blocks and then distributed all over. And people have them in their cars or at the entrance door of their houses, their homes. And that's also a great way to accumulate merit. For example, if a family puts that mantra, that by liberation by seeing mantra at the entrance gate of their door, anyone who passes beneath it purifies the negativities accumulated in 300 million aeons. And so this is also one thing that we have distributed widely, that liberation by seeing mantra that also has this lotus circle on there. And so anyone can take it and place it in their cars or the entranceway of their homes. So that's another thing that we distributed. And a third practice that we distributed, or booklet, was the Samantabhadra prayer.
Lama hong yedang nima kato dawadi sam sangi yore. Tatung rewa kanu kasam sangi yore. O hong chuka nima longa chuka dawadi kasam chosam kasam chasam o cho gatoka tangi di hongdang di jisali yare. Di zongdang ten chunga di sadari tongro jingwa yare tatolo yore. Tatolo de suri go choga tewi Amitaba tongro kani di suni. Di tatade jabali 가시 공부 요거리 비용하고 요래 가시 가게 시동 자월이 되게 시에요 그때 시동 말이 마다 와디 시동이나 이 담발엔 거 서로 때 약속이 에 마다 와니 홍든 남카레 마다 와 뉴스 요래 홍든 남카레 쪽 요래 이제 다 성주고 성대 말 들이 데리들이 다 잡는다 다 양자들이 다 모자라 되는 들이 다 되는 통상 총총수 가발들이 초사고 탑들이 가발을 이 병들이는 통로로다 다 홍로도 야를 가르치 이를 안 하는 수는 싹싹 요 탑 데리들이 다 대타바랑이 제가 가르치나 somos tan que lleva bien estaba tomando 쪽 그 말이 내가 요거를 내가 가리지 지는 뱀 싸와요 그래 지는 수남 또 잡래
And then later, I first arrived in Nepal and then returned. And at that time, then one of my benefactors, Dupaludru, he asked me, how can I help you? And I said, we have to print many of those door protectors, those liberation by seeing stickers. We have to put them on doors and cars, houses, and so on. It's a way to accumulate merit. It's a way for me to accumulate merit and also a way to show others how to accumulate merit, to increase merit. If I benefit others, it leads to my own happiness too. And this is what happens when you cultivate bodhicitta. You're helping others and you experience happiness as a result. So it leads to benefit and happiness for self and others. It is said that the teachings are the only medicine that healed the suffering of all sentient beings. So also, for example, like the money pills are such a medicine. And so what is that one medicine for all sentient beings? So the root of all suffering is self-grasping, and therefore what they need is love. And so we need to help them, we need to benefit them with love. And this is one thing that I always have in mind, no matter what activity I engage in. Later, also, for example, when I came to Taiwan and we held the 100 million Amitabha mantra recitation retreat, the disciples also asked me, what can we do? How can we help? And at that time, I told them we have to produce those T-shirts that have that Hung syllable and liberation by seeing mantra printed on them, because that is actually extremely beneficial. Because within that kind of image, the Hung syllable and surrounded by the mantra, that embodies what we call the 9 jewels. So first, the 3 jewels, according to the Pratimoksha, it embodies the 3 jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. So in this logo, this image, we have basically 3 elements. We have the sun, the moon, and the Hung syllable in the center. So in the context of the 3 jewels, the Hung syllable represents the Buddha, the sun represents the Dharma, and the moon, the Sangha. Then in the secret mantra, we practice the Lama, Yidam, and Dakini. And so here in this context, the Lama represents, or the Hung represents the Lama, the sun represents the Yidam, and the moon represents the Dakini. And then the last set of 3 is the result, the fruition, which are the 3 kayas, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. The Hung then represents the Dharmakaya, the sun, the Sambhogakaya, and the moon, the Nirmanakaya. So this is how the 9 jewels are complete within this Hung with the sun and the moon. And then there's also the liberation by seeing mantra. So this is what I asked them to print on T-shirts and then distribute it. And so that was initiated during the 100 million Amitabha mantra recitation retreat in Taiwan. And then after having produced these T-shirts, some people who understand the benefits of this symbol, they actually wear this T-shirt. And some people don't wear it, and some even say it's just politics, but propagating a certain kind of tradition. But how is it politics? It's not politics. It's the Hung, the sun, and the moon. The Hung is space, and then there is the sun and the moon. The space gives space for the sun and the moon to exist, and sun and the moon give life to this world. So we should really think about it. So that is why I created all of these ways of benefiting others. The liberation by seeing mantras for people to put in their cars or homes. And then also we made very small little stickers that one can stick on their phones. And that's another way of accumulating merit whenever you call someone. So I want to benefit others. That is why I made such an effort to distribute these. On the one hand, I'm accumulating great merit, and I'm also helping others accumulate a lot of merit. And this is really something that I really think about whenever I engage in anything. And all my activities really have been really driven by this motivation. I really don't want to go somewhere and then it just becomes empty. That's not okay. I really have to bring some benefit wherever I go. There has to be some result, some fruition. So I have to do something that benefits the people there, and I have to give them a method for them to increase their own merit. And so that is a great method.
大家看到的时候，你去做这个명点로从当当的这个做，我不能从让你妈兵把人来这些俺罗从，工作刚弄了刚要配个么东西，但让你妈兵把人民说的对面把这的，他这些的些的接头了，他改一点做个东西，他这的，但俺刚那做个哪里说你妈的就是给了就罗接的，哪人都不给了真的，这台的说罗接的。这就是俺做的，这就是俺做没的了。这个就上边让给的就家里说的嘛的，他家口说是给那个就我说他就有的，这从这里家里嘛俺给家些的，我给家些家就不用嘛，你没他们这个这他们，咱这种的俺们些干嘛？这个大官有的说了，但人他们谁吃的那当然有了，刚刚凭什么都当然问题，哪里说的嘛个的。东康东康他们就打那些他吧，弄个地方就他吧，台北的这样个东西，这让给这玩意儿的，罗马他们就上街上去的，罗马他们还讲这玩意儿的，别的他当然在那的呢，罗上街那么就这个人干的当然看了当然有的，这玩他当然有的，我说你上宿什么就上街上去的，因为这他们就怕苹果的，这苹了他引导了这个。这俺人引导大概哪里说的嘛的，说是Innate，大家看说是给了，这热他说他们不他说，这让下来上了中国的，下来绿的没人都有嘛的，来个那没的让那没有个有的，这边呢这打这龙巴说这他们，这他有的，这让个啥吧，哪里没上，这到上么上，那个其他的了的，这边他那这边他。대대 하장 짜치 모이베 그 건강 뭐나 누마 짜짜 제슈디 다지 그래서 좀 전에 요래 엄마들이 로마서를 파푸 요래 가시에 망고라 대부 파 야야를 돌아래 따르는 거래 얘네들이 저 상무지 제가면 소소 내려 거쳐버리 거쳐들 소소 오고는 레이 무고를 야 되는 별라 같이 잡기도 말랑 잡기도 막所以这人俺人让人看着这个说，这样明白有吗？假如我听这句说嘞，哈过他们这个这边对不对？让人快出过来，这他们这个让人说给这里上门说那么中国呢，你去做叫个啥玩意儿？这一个人你拿的还有皮肤切膜的做送有的，一个人动进行拉送，一个吃完，一个弄嘛，一个一人别吧，一把送好的，一个皮肤切膜的。산지에 걸어대는 송자치 뭐래 송어들이 톡자지 뭐 산지에 송어들이 산지에 톡하고 톡을 요래 그래서 사와래 제탐지 대다지 하람자 다 대대 대령자 그래 소는 뭐체도 담빈치나 대 가래는 소소가 대다가 넘나 라마 이놈 메놈 뭐서 대 넘나더니 대다 넘나 소는 뭐고리 직자요 뭐 소는 대서 로록 생긴 담지를 고요래 빼는아 로마적에 다 세계 탐지에 비니사와 총총이 비니사와도 가려도 버리시 다 저런 거 만들어 망보서 저런 배 아지 이것도 배샤시라요 뭐 만들어서 비용을 너다 비용선 비용에 하고 요래 근데 수이들이 뭐다 속자도록 가면나지 타바성 탭로 요래 만들어서 수이들이 뭐지 찜바다나 뒤 속차 잡채지 잡채지 타바성 탭로 요래 내가 들리는 거 대다 내가 도당 대도 제왕이 그래서 대는 다음에 속으지라 이때도 다지 못했다 나야 요리 그래서 처음에 대다 책임들랑 가리가 피나 대통령들이 저리 야래 그래랑 그 제일 많이 낭 그래랑 그 살인카니 조디도 나고자야 토를 조디고 걸 가르치 조디지 걸 아니 소들마데 보자 인수는 존을 다 로라로 걸로 서로 걸로 대제도 뭐 차고 차고 참지 그것도这个有的，老人说你嘛的就现在嘛这个有的，那那也有嘛去他们去找啊，这个他人给家的人参加，这我的给什么的，他我的他一路人上的个，虽然屁股上面没错的哩，这工作我，那个家里这个卡拉斯那个说家他们屁股上了，这里去人就多的。내 사고서는 기타 시보들로 내 정자상을 좀 요때니 안 좋고요. 말이 이를 피고 짠짠 들이대 이 피로를 두고 요래. 그런 것도 땅대다 그래. 이렇게 또 답지 대답 얘를 장나 그래가 될 게자 이마테리 이타마 다시 되리쇼 다자카를 좀 감상지 타마 다시 되리쇼
So then later on, I came to the West and eventually became American citizen. And once I became a citizen, with the American passport, I was allowed to visit more countries than before. So then many more centers started to invite me to come to their countries. And so I was thinking then, if I go there, what should I do? Like how should I under what circumstances should I really go there? I was thinking that if I go there, first of all, it's a lot of work for them to organize all of this. It's also very expensive to organize an event. They have to get airplane tickets and so forth. And already I'm causing a lot of trouble just with that. And then on top of that, most of the programs, the events are held on the weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, when people usually are off and are resting. So I'm taking away their rest time to teach them the Dharma. So then they can't rest. So I felt at that time that if I go there, how can I really benefit them? It doesn't seem very beneficial. So I was thinking, if I go, I really have to find a way to benefit them, otherwise I can't go. And then I thought that I want to distribute the 37 practices. And then I told them, wherever I was invited, I asked the organizers and the disciples to please translate the 37 practices into their own languages, print them and make little booklets out of them and distribute them. And this is what I told anyone who invited me. And I said that if you can do that, I will come. If not, I won't go. And so then they started translating those 37 practices into their own languages and distributing them. And this is really how that started. So then I went there and gave teachings on their weekend. And whatever I told them actually, each and every word maybe is not so precious. It's not that I'm so precious, but I felt that if I'm able to go there and give them those little books, that's really important. And as long as I'm able to do that, it has become meaningful. It's fine. And that is really what I want from the bottom of my heart. To me, really, I sincerely feel that the 37 practices are far more precious than a piece of gold. A piece of gold means nothing to me. When I was in prison, that's what I realized, really. In prison, it's the 37 practices that helped me accept and tolerate the suffering that we experienced there. And they gave me a tool to transform suffering into happiness. It's all because of this little booklet. And then also the disciples later on, I really see them all as Buddhas themselves. Many of them love me very much. And for example, they would make a great effort, like sending something from Los Angeles on an airplane, which takes like an hour, just to bring me some food. I would come like this whole way just to send me some food, bring me some food, just out of love. And it's because they love me very much, and I love them very much. So I see them really as Buddhas, and since they're so kind to me, I also want to benefit them. I want to help them. And I want to give them something that's like my own heart. And that's the 37 practices. The 37 practices is really like my own heart. And that is why I insisted that they be translated into the different languages in the world. And we were able to accomplish that quite well. And I was able to offer these practices to so many disciples. And then after I have left the body, it's just the body. I cannot die. And I know that I will go on, and whatever karma is accumulated will ripen. And I feel that it was well that I was able to distribute these books. And I feel no regret, and I feel that my activities really were unmistaken because of that. So this is my way of doing things. I consider these little booklets as really very precious. For example, the Samantabhadra prayer or the 7 verses of supplication to Tara for protection. These are all most precious. The most precious ones we had also translated into 3 languages, into there's Tibetan, Chinese, and English, and so many people were able to benefit from these texts, and so. However, often it's I always tell people, take these books. Please take them. Just take them home. But often people take those books. They take a lot of those books. So they hoard those books, and then they put them somewhere, and they never recite them, and they also don't give them to anybody else. So this is not how you should treat the books. You can take them, but you also have to use them. You have to read them. You have to pass them on to others. And just take as much as you need. If you really need them, take them. But if you don't really use them, then don't take them. Also, the same actually applies to taking the refuge vow. Often people like to take it over and over again, like 3 or 4 times. And every time they want to get the card, the refuge card. But that card is really not what benefits you. It's enough if you just receive it one time and really understand the meaning. That's the point. So with that in mind, you can take whatever is provided here, and it's an excellent way to perpetuate, increase merit. For example, taking the refuge vow is an activity of 1 hour, but it's extremely beneficial. What's most beneficial really is the words that you have on that refuge card, for example, on those little booklets. The words are most important. And this is also actually taught in the teachings. The teachings speak about the benefits of distributing or making Dharma texts available, and giving them to others, reciting them, reading them out loud or quietly, and so on. Any kind of book-related, word-related Dharma activity is extremely beneficial. It is said that the Buddha's words are more important than the Buddha's form, and the Buddha's mind is more important than the Buddha's words. But the Buddha's mind can be understood through the words, and that's why the words are so important. So this is kind of my way of dedicating all the merit accumulated, by perpetuating it and giving it on to others. So in order to engage in such activities like distributing Dharma texts and so on, one doesn't have to be a Lama. Anyone can do it. Anyone can distribute them. Everyone needs merit. Every sentient being in the 6 realms of samsara needs merit. And that is a great way of accumulating merit. Actually, once a disciple asked me, what is a very simple, kind of easy way to benefit, a small thing to do that benefits a lot of sentient beings? And I told them that create some, or kind of produce or sponsor some money pills and then distribute them. Make many of them and then distribute them. So that person didn't have a lot of money, and I thought that would really benefit many. Because anyone who comes into contact with those money pills, human or animals or any being, will have the seed of liberation planted in their minds. For example, a person who has ingested a mani pill, if they pee, then whichever being or animal becomes touched by their urine has the seed of liberation planted. So this is the way I've been doing things. This is my way. And please keep that in mind. So these words, the words in these books, these little booklets, are extremely precious. And you can take them and you should recite them and also distribute them. Also we have, for example, the stupa. I guess this is selling stupa that we kind of look after, and we've placed the 37 practices Also they're free for you to take. So the 37 practices also are printed in 3 different languages, Chinese, English, and Tibetan. And whoever needs them, so you can just distribute them to all your relatives and friends. And so that is a great way to accumulate merit. And that really is the root of the Dharma. And so now I stop the instructions here. And we will dedicate, and dedication is extremely important. And when you dedicate, think that this is all for others. I want to benefit others. A wish to benefit others is the supreme dedication on the relative level. So from there on, also, whatever you do, think that I'm doing this for others. No matter what you do, even if it's an ordinary activity, if you think this way, it becomes Dharma practice. Or as we mentioned, even when you're eating food, it becomes very beneficial, even if it's just an ordinary act. But for example, even if you practice the Dharma and it seems all virtuous, if you think that I did this and I did that, then there are some flaws, some faults that come with that. So let go of that and just think it's all for others. Just think of others. That's what we need to accomplish. We need to accomplish the benefit of others. So this is my way. And I ask you to keep that in mind. So these are my last words for today. And now we will stop with dedication. Dashidelek to all of you here, and also everyone who has joined on the live stream.
Om Amitaba Shi, 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 Om Jonde Gombo Sanje Wa Me Ze Jian Jar Ze Jiang Zhen Pa Be Zo Nye Mon Zhuo Lai Tui Jie Ra Gong Lai Da So De Ji Xian De Zhen De So Nguen Jie Tui Jie Dan Jia Jie Xian De Do Da Ma Yer Tui Jie Wang Ge Lai Ling Ye Da Zi Go Wa Dun Zhuo Ne Da Da Nye Zhen Ban Zi Do So De Da Duan Xiao Zha Bui Jie Ge Wei Nan De Do Le Dui Jie Wo Man Zhi Da Sun Zhou Wei Nian Ge Ten Bei Mo Dan Zi Lo Chi Ba Rang Sai Xie Dan Mi Jie Ge Gong Ba Nguen Jie Sam Sar Don Ze Me Zhe Zhe Ngong De Yo.
Page 20. Hong, transcendent conqueror, protector, Buddha Amitabha, and noble assembly of loving bodhisattvas, compassionately look upon us afflicted beings and guide us to the pure land of Sukhavati. In accordance with your past bodhicitta vows, not wavering from the sacred bond, deity with great compassion, please exhaust all negative karma and empty samsara from its depths. At this very moment, please act as our guide. As I, with intense devotion, have thus invoked the enlightened mind, red light rays of compassion radiate from the heart of Amitabha and dissolve into the hearts of myself and all beings. Self-grasping, misconceptions, and delusions have collapsed into themselves. The state of selfless Dharmakaya is realized, and I rest in the natural clarity. I rest in the nature of clarity and emptiness, free from grasping and elaboration.
number constellation with Sadhana Daya Dharma Kandadi Ruva Dong Arjava Shinwana Upamek Nera Tobarjo.
By all the limitless and sacred merit obtained through this meditation and recitation, may all beings drowning in the river of suffering attain the supreme state of Amitabha. Home, Kri. All-pervasive Dharmakaya, Protector Amitabha, Sambhogakayas, the loving assembly of Bodhisattvas, and Nirmanakayas, the gatherings of Shravakas and Arhats. Together with your retinues, please endow all beings with the auspiciousness to progress to Supavati. Emaho, marvelous. In the center is the Buddha Amitabha, boundless light. To his right is Chenrezig, the Lord of great compassion, and to his left, the Bodhisattva Vajrapani, the Lord of great power. They are surrounded by an inconceivable assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Extraordinary, limitless peace and happiness is the Buddha field called bliss endowed. When I and all beings pass from this life, may we be born there, unhindered by another samsaric birth. Once born there, may we behold the face of the Buddha Amitabha, boundless light. By the power of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, bless me that I may attain this aspiration without hindrance. Tayata Pansagriya Awa Bodha Nae Soha.
Dzambhala, page number 63.
perfect compassion, even forgiveness names don't exist. Change call me with love. Grant me the supreme sea, the lotus that you land of, Vidya the restless life. Even misery's names are gone, lotus born that you blessings, sky-bearing rainbow body, manifest your life, oh perfect bliss in their names, for confused they don't exist. Just at the ground seems me your light is there, glory and the land of perfect splendor, even names for confused pride don't exist. Gladness and Bhava bestow equanimity with them. They watch and pure land of great happiness even names for confused desire. Gone Amitabha blessed ground, discerning is the city. Fulfilled activity, feel out of perfect Buddha deeds. There's no words for jealousy. Samokasiddhi, store accomplishing wisdom in the early Dharma sphere. Endowed by perfections, ignorance does not exist. Vairocana Dhamma, Shadu wisdom seems, vital essences of man, five great mothers of life. Denominated Udya, Nata was in the kidneys, godly emptiness mastery. The chain of your pharma, tables of phenomena, where only freedom dwell. Chanting life forges of Mahamudra, investing yourself. Yet of peace and grabs on human common house, seeing for healing rolling. Because of your sacred sides, governing his guidance, God is ready. Fortune of secret matter in the Makaya's express, where working loads in Chanting lighted axes, to stages my tragedies, inaudible atmosphere. Makaya and cold gods and you get to see fortune of the light. Oh, shit, in Vaishnavanaza, God was the Dzambhala, who was coming for us. Master was like Mary, give your God one waiver from your pledge. Bring of us compassionate, be all alive fortune, God fortune of God, fortune of His forces, and whether vigilante livestock, the fortune of total sheep. Chain of bird and rose, chain of girls and those blessed cattle, wealth of fish canteen, cows, boots, takes to carry every lords of this good fortune here, my chain of unlovely sin, hiding past golden seas, certain solemn places, precious gems and ornaments, food and drink of every kind, Nidaniras comforted, Lamas fortune for my back. God's was giving when others reach on below. Three was God's and yours well. Nidaniras comforted, Papa's Lodi fortune, Dzambhala is only Dharma. Balances for chanting, wealth, dominance, longevity, beings like strength and merit. So for life's gone ever, chanting, Chinese kings are reaching force. Persian kings for chanting, wealth, the army of kings, the courage of Ukahor, as good fortune in them, near fortune on the endless sky, fortune on the stable paths. The fed were food and flow, the radiance from the richest strength, armor, weapons, miracles, vows, muscle and for rescue. Just fortune of revenge, strong voice, beautiful and virtuous gifts. Pure these all these bring the mirrors of fortune, like sun in the eastern rise. Eastern roll like fortune, come like the spinning southern clouds, loud and long like fortune come. Like you shrouded this way, stand all at once and please come here, like a river flows northern. Like fortune please come here, like a morning from above, proper like fortune come. Like this grace like you, Lord, long like fortune come. Fortune of melodious grace, come like turquoise dragons, your fortune of fat students, like come like jasmine dragon. She esten vajadaki, needy as fortune classified. This is indecences, southern jewel daki. Bring resources, food and wealth, expand life, merit reaches. Western lotus daki, Misa, past to tame all things, samsara and nirvana. Golden action daki, me therefore enlightened nights, annihilating the with God with you ready, you bring me all the world's fortune, show your specious objects here, bring fortunate objects, here was remain at this place, and make these fortunes steadfast. Potent eyes like substance, says and not this place floated well, this remain from unchanging. God eternal life, see, God endless treasure, see, God wealth and merit, see, God to sin is let them be accomplished spontaneously. Salva Siddhi Allah.
kayas, Lama, deities of longevity, dakinis of Uddiyana, and assembly of wealth gods, please bestow the four empowerments upon me and other fortunate disciples. Being bestowed with the supreme form empowerment upon my body, may I attain the indestructible Vajra body. Being bestowed with the supreme speech empowerment upon my speech, may I attain the power of Brahma's 60 melodies. Being bestowed with the supreme mind empowerment upon my mind, may I attain the power over the unborn simplicity. May I obtain the essence kaya empowerment, the ultimate empowerment that is the spontaneous presence of the three kayas. May I obtain the empowerment of the Guru's three kayas, which causes the three poisons to manifest as the three kayas. May I obtain the empowerment of the long-life deities of the five families, which causes the five poisons to manifest as the five aspects of primordial wisdom. May I obtain the empowerment of the dakinis of Uddiyana, by which the body of deathless primordial wisdom is attained. May I obtain the empowerment of white Dzambhala Yabhyam, which effortlessly and spontaneously accomplishes ordinary and sublime cities. May I obtain the empowerment of the wealth gods and treasure lords, which perfects the abundance of food, wealth, and riches. May I obtain the empowerment of Mahamudra, which liberates from samsara's pain. May I obtain the empowerment of self-knowing Dharmakaya, which is the primordial purity of the delusional perceptions of unawareness. May I obtain the empowerment of the great completion, which is the primordial purity of all phenomena of samsara and nirvana. May I obtain the empowerment of the great middle way, which naturally liberates the four extremes of eternalism and nihilism. May I obtain the empowerment of the perfection of wisdom, which is the inexpressible, being beyond words and thoughts. May I obtain the empowerment of total openness, free from fixation, which naturally liberates dualistic propensities. May I attain the empowerment of immortal life, which is the unchanging expanse of awareness. May I obtain the empowerment of awakening within one lifetime, which is the endless accumulation of merit. The three kayas, deity of longevity, dakinis of Uddiyana, an assembly of wealth gods, my own body, speech, and mind, this life, all solid and substantial matter, all these dissolve, like clouds dissolving into the sky, or water pouring into water, without reference point into the all-pervasive open space of Ah. Within the state of non-distraction, in the unborn basic space of phenomena, let go of everything. In the state of simplicity, remain free and sealed with steadfastness. Samaya, seal. home, free, by this virtue of timelessness, being beyond the 3 times. May all beings be relieved from the suffering of poverty, hunger, and thirst, and may all wishes and enjoyments be fulfilled. At last, may they swiftly attain the most excellent state of the Master Padmasambhava and Amitabha, in the Buddha field great bliss, and reach the ground of no return. Page 20. Page 20 in the Yellow Book. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, Lord Chenrezig, may your life remain steadfast until the end of samsara. Embodiment of the 3 jewels, great being who upholds and increases the teachings of the Shakya lion, you perfectly guide others with your excellent deeds. May you, the precious guru who accomplishes everything, spontaneously live long. Holder of the teachings of Lord Jikumpa, great sovereign of the 3 jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion and the holy Dharma's peaceful light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. Known in the noble land as Aryadeva, you emanated in the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chidingpa, the heart son of Jigten Gompo. May the life of the glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 aeons. Page 26. May all the teachings of the great Drikun Ratnashri, Master of Interdependence, Omniscient Lord of Dharma, who has seen all knowable things, be upheld through teachings and practice, through hearing, reflecting, and meditating, until the end of existence. Your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 wheel-turning kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate aeon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezig.
자자 걸어 주고 참만하더니 다시 제력쇼에 주소 제런다 통통이나더니 무트네 그리고 밤에 양미 나졌다 이 아무데가 다시 기시 모요래 이 참만 다시 대 롱나시게.
Also Dashi Dele to all the Dharma friends on the live stream. And so now we've had this program here at the Dharma Center. But even after that, please continue to practice Amitabha and to recite Amitabha's mantra. It's very important. Dashi Deleg and long life.
간데시 공파원에 대해서 서로 루루를 건도 되게 딱 나도 차와 제게들은 담지 되게 동나리 호망 담지 동나리 나도 차와 제야래 루루는 우리 간데시 조디는 공자 루루는 제지.
And so we are now ending the program at noon, so in the morning. And the reason for ending early at noon is because there are some students and some disciples who have to leave. And there's also some disciples who would like to ask questions. And so they can ask questions to Khenpo Tenzin Rinpoche. It is afternoon. You can ask both Khenpos your questions. And just take it more relaxed. So that's why we stopped the teachings earlier at noon. It's really for the benefit of the disciples. So take it easy. Ask your questions. Go to the stupa, meditate there, and take it easy. And so you are now receiving this gift, keychain, and that's something that's very precious because everyone always has their keys in their hands. So it's another way of accumulating merit. It's always there in your hands. You can put it in. You can use it for your car keys, for example. So again, that's a great, skillful method for you all to accumulate merit, and so that's what I'm offering to you right now. And may all of you disciples be free from obstacles. And then among all the many practices that exist, it's sufficient if you only practice the Buddha Amitaba. That alone accomplishes all purposes of this life and future lives, the purpose of yourself and others. It's a very simple and short practice that anyone can do. So I encourage you to always practice the Buddha Amitaba. So Dashidelek, everyone.
So this concludes our Amitabha retreat, and I, on behalf of everyone here and the Garchen Institute, we want to make an offering to His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche for continuing to guide us in this profound practice, and we thank him with all of our hearts, and big Amitabha love. Thank you, Rinpoche. And we want to thank Khenpo Tenzin for leading us with the chanting, and he also made these beautiful tormas on the shrine. Thank you so much, Khenpo Tenzin. And thank you to Khenpo Thupsang for helping with all of the practice sessions. Playing those instruments is not easy. And we want to thank Ani Samten for assisting Garchen Rinpoche so beautifully and perfectly as she does. And we want to thank Ani Dagme for doing all the chopening, all the rituals for the shrine for this retreat. And we want to thank Ina for doing the translation. And we want to thank Darcy for doing the English chanting. And we want to thank all of you for coming and joining this retreat. And we thank everybody online for participating. And if anybody wants to give us your mantra accumulation totals, we are collecting those in the office. Right now, we're up to about 147,000 mantras accumulated. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy lunch.
Bodhisattva practices, the new print, there is this image here of a cave, and that was the practice cave of Ngulchu Thome, the author of the 37 practices. And Rinpoche said, I insisted on adding this image to the 37 practices because when I saw this image, this cave, just this cave, it brought tears to my eyes, and just a natural feeling of great faith and devotion in this Lama arose in me. That is why I wanted to have this image in this booklet. And so then there's also an image of Ngulchu Thome, the author, but the form is really not so important. The body is not important. What's more important than the body is the speech, and even more important is the mind. And the mind of the Guru is a mind of bodhicitta, of love. And when love arises in your own mind, then that's the mind of the Guru. So to kind of make this clear to everyone, I insisted on adding this image to the 37 practices. So please remember the meaning.